Hi everyone. So my name is Anubha and I am a biology tutor. And today I'm going to discuss the October-November 2023 paper which was released by Cambridge. So we are going to do the multiple choice and let's just not waste time and start doing it. Okay. So let's start with the first question. Okay, and in case you have any queries or if you have any doubts in the paper, you can just let me know in the comment section. Okay, so first question is, what are the characteristic of all living organism? Now, if we talk about the first option, second option, and third option, if we talk about the first option, let's say breathing, growth, and movement, it might not be the same for each of the organisms. Okay, then there is the second option. Again, it has some of the options like digestion, which is not for the same organ for all the organisms. And then there is the third option. Again, digestion is not a characteristic of all the organisms. So appropriate option as per me would be option D. Okay. Now moving on to the second question. This is using the binomial system. Now as per the binomial system, the first name should be from the genus. Okay. And the second name should be from the species. Okay, now first one is from the genus and the second one is from the species. So as per this, let's see which option is correct. Which statement is correct? The lion belongs to the kingdom Panthera? No. The lion belongs to the genus Panthera? Yes. And the lion belongs to the species Panthera? No. The lion belongs to the genus Leo? No. So correct option here would be B. Okay. Now moving on to the question number 3. Now here, if you might have seen in the IGCSE book, in some of the books, there's the diagram of Chlamydomonas. So for your further information, I'm telling you, it belongs to which kingdom? It belongs to the kingdom Protoctista. It is from the kingdom Protoctista. Okay, now let's see which option is suitable as per the given options you have. Okay, so ribosome means this organelle is used for making protein. If we talk about mitochondria, it's for aerobic respiration. If we talk about nucleus, it's code for mRNA or it stores DNA. And if we talk about chloroplast, it is for doing photosynthesis. So let's see which processes can chlamydomonas carry out. So we have photosynthesis and respiration only. Let's see other options also. Then we have photosynthesis, respiration, and protein synthesis. So now because we have ribosome, so we can say all three options are correct. Photosynthesis by chloroplast, respiration by mitochondria, and protein synthesis because there is nucleus and ribosomes. So nucleus will form the mRNA and ribosomes are going to produce the protein as per the code of mRNA. So I think the correct option here would be B. Okay, if we see the other options also, protein synthesis and respiration only, no. Respiration only, no. So correct option here would be B, photosynthesis, respiration, and protein synthesis. Let's come to question number 4. Now this is one of the easiest question I think in this paper. The diagram shows structure of palisade cell from a leaf. Which structure contains chlorophyll? As per this diagram, you can see that this palisade mesophyll cell is a cell. You might have studied that this cell is adapted for photosynthesis. So this cell is basically adapted for photosynthesis and it has a lot of chloroplast. Okay, so which structure contains chlorophyll? Chlorophyll will be present in chloroplast and that would be structure C. Don't get confused between C and B because B is nucleus, A represents the cell wall and D is vacuole. So here the correct answer is C because C is what? C is your chloroplast. Okay. Now coming to option number 5. So here you need to have a calculator also with you and here it says that the white blood cell is 76 mm, okay, in the diagram. That means it is giving you what? It is giving you the image size. This is the image size. Okay. The magnification of the diagram is 8000. Here the magnification of the diagram is what? 8000. So you have to, what is the actual diameter? So the formula that we are going to use here is I is equal to, one second, MA. The formula that we are going to use here is I is equal to MA. So image is given to us which is your 76 mm. Okay, then a magnification is given to us, which is your 8000 mm. Okay, and actual we have to calculate. So A is equal to 76 by 8000. Okay, now when you do this as per your calculator, I'll tell you what value you're going to get. You're going to get 9.5 into 10 raised power minus 3 mm. Okay, this is in mm. Now if I have to just calculate this in micrometer, because the answer here is given in micrometer, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it by further 1000. So when I divide it by I'm going to multiply it by 1000, because when you have to convert millimeter into micrometer, you have to multiply it by 1000. So when you multiply it by 1000, basically this 10 raised power minus 3 is going to get cancelled, and the answer is going to be 9.5 micrometer. So here our answer is going to be 9.5 micrometer, that is C. Okay, so the correct answer here is C. The difference that you have to notice here is this mm, millimeter, and here it is given in micrometer. So when you convert millimeter into micrometer, what do you have to do? You have to multiply it by 1000. Okay, which you can do it with the equation or after the equation, that's your call to take. Now we do question number 6. Now question number 6 is also an easy one. So which diagram shows the appearance of a plant cell after it is placed in a pure water? Okay, this question is based on osmosis. Okay, and as we are talking about pure water has the highest water potential. That means if you'll keep any cell in pure water, the water is definitely going to move inside the cell. Now there are four options which are given to us: first, second, third. This is the third one, and this is the fourth one. Okay, now when you place a plant cell in pure water, the answer, the state that you're going to get here is D. The reason being, this state of cell is called as turgid. Why the cell is not B, why the cell does not burst, is because this plant cell has a cell wall which is like a rigid boundary. So here the cell does not burst because it has a rigid boundary. Okay. Now coming to question number 7. Guys, I would like to remind you again that in any of the questions you feel that you need more explanation, you have more doubts, you can just let me know, or you can just post the questions in the comment section that you need more understanding in or you need more help in. Okay, let's get back to work. So here, which process requires active transport? So here let's see the options. What are they saying? Oxygen movement from alveoli to the blood? I don't think so. Then you have ion uptake by the root hair cells. Okay, so ion uptake by root hair cell, yes. And then water movement through a plant by transpirational pull? No. Then absorption of water in the lacteal into the small intestine, in a small intestine villus? No. So correct answer here would be ion uptake by root hair cell from the soil. For those of you who don't have an idea about active transport, basically active transport is the movement of ions or any nutrients against the concentration gradient, and it requires energy produced in respiration through carrier protein. If you see the May June paper, there's a similar question which is asked related to active transport there, but it's in the theory paper. So it was around like 3 mark question, and in that there was a comparison between osmosis and active transport. So you need to know these 4 particular points related to active transport, and that's enough for you to understand. Coming to the next question, yes, one of the easiest question again. Which row shows the chemical elements contained in fat? So fat is basically made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. No more minerals. So these are basically the elements which are present in your fats. So as per this, if we go through all the options, the correct option for me is A. Okay. Now coming to question number 9. Glycogen is a large molecule made from smaller molecules. Which smaller molecules is glycogen made from? Okay, so glycogen is a large molecule made from smaller molecule. Which smaller molecule is glycogen made from? Now here I know many of you might make mistake when you're selecting the option. Okay, many children, they get confused between glycogen and glycerol. Glycogen, my dear, is actually a carbohydrate. So glycogen here is a carbohydrate, and here the smallest unit of this carbohydrate would be glucose, and definitely glucose. So the correct answer is glucose. Okay, here coming to the next question, that is question number 10. The graph shows the effect of temperature on the rate of reaction catalyzed by an enzyme. Which statement explains the shape of the graph at section X? Okay, so here you can see that the rate of reaction is continuously increasing. Here basically is the peak of the reaction, and basically after this what you see is that the reaction decreases. Okay, so this is basically, if I categorize this area, this is basically where the enzyme is denatured. This is the region where the enzyme is denatured. Now, if I talk about this particular area, the former area, the first area, this area is continuously when the reactivity of the enzyme is increasing. So, if the reactivity of the enzyme is increasing, here I can say, let's see what the options are. The enzyme is not the correct one to act on this substrate. No, I don't think so, because the reaction is increasing. That means the reaction is taking place and the substrate and enzyme are complementary to each other. Basically the active site of enzyme is complementary to the substrate. The enzyme starting to denature, no, I told you already that it is in the second part where the enzyme is starting to denature, so no. The number of active site is increasing, no, the number of active site is same. And the last option is the frequency of enzyme substrate collision is increasing. Now this is what basically is the answer. Why is this happening? Because as we increase the temperature, as we increase from a low temperature to an optimum temperature of the enzyme, like from here to here, from this point to this point, it is where the rate of enzyme activity increases. So this is the appropriate answer for this question. Okay, so this is question number 10. Okay, moving on to the next question, that is question number 11. So during this time, it is asking you, during growth, potato plants produce flowers and underground storage organs called tubers. During this time, which parts of the plant act as sources and sink? Now you have to understand this and you have to analyze the information given in the question. It is telling you that it is during the growth time where the flowers and tubers are the places which are produced. Okay, so this means that these two places, that is flowers and tuber, they are acting as what? They are acting as the sink. Okay, now let's see the options which is suitable for this. And during this is the growth time. Okay, so here it is saying flower is acting as the sink and potato tuber is acting as the source. No, so flower is acting as the sink and potato tubers are acting as the sink. Yes, and during this time, because the plant is growing, the leaves are going to act as the source. So as per this, the correct option is going to be B. So 11 is B. Now moving to question number 12. The diagram shows an experiment investigating the effect of light intensity on an aquatic plant. Now if you focus on this question and you have a little bit knowledge about the limiting factors of photosynthesis, you will be able to do this question very easily. See, the photosynthesis occurs in both test tube P and test tube Q. Both test tubes were kept at same temperature. The number of bubbles produced in test tube P was 12 bubbles per minute. Okay, the number of bubbles produced in test tube P was how much? They were 12. So test tube P, if you'll see, they are kept at 20 centimeter. If you check test tube Q, it is kept at 10 centimeter. That means definitely the rate of photosynthesis is going to be higher in Q than in P. The rate of photosynthesis is going to be higher here than compared to the rate in Q, in P. So this is going to be the correct answer is going to be D, 48. Because if you see, minimum is 12 and all the other values are less than 12. So correct answer is 48. Moving to the next question, question number 3. Now this is very easy question. You have to answer which human teeth are used for biting and cutting food. Which human teeth are used for biting and cutting food? So as you know that molars and premolars, they are used for grinding. Okay, they are used for grinding. So that means molar, this option is gone, this option is gone because it has premolar, and this option is also gone because it has molar. So correct option here is going to be your B. Okay, let's move to question 14. Very easy question. Which organ produces HCl? Okay, but you don't have to do directly, you don't have to switch to the second line, you have to also read the first line. The diagram shows part of the human digestive system. Which organ produces HCl? So as we all know, your stomach is where HCl is produced, and the cells of stomach are, they produce your HCl. So correct answer A. Moving to question number 15. Now if you check question number 15 here, the diagram shows structure of a villus. The artery, capillary, lacteal and vein are labeled with letters. Which letter shows where nutrients are absorbed into the blood? So which letter shows the nutrients are absorbed into the blood? So first one, it is going to be A is your, you have to recognize each and everything. So A is your lacteal, B is your capillary, the blood capillary to be specific. Okay, and C is basically the, you can say the arteriole which is supplying blood to the villi, and D is basically a vein which is taking away, or a venule which is taking away blood from this capillary. So C and D cannot be the answer for sure. So answer is from A and B. Now it is asking you about the nutrients. It is not specifically mentioning fatty acids and glycerol, because lacteals, they absorb basically fatty acid and glycerol, and there is no such mentioning of these words in the question. So the correct answer is B. B is the blood capillary which absorbs mainly your glucose and the other nutrients. Moving on to question number 6. Which process is by which process is water vapor lost from a leaf? Now many of you here, obviously I think just to sort out the answers, A is not the answer and photosynthesis is not the answer. Okay, dominantly people or student will be confused in B and C. Okay, many of the students, they get confused in B and C. Now if you recall the definition of osmosis, it is movement of water molecules from higher water potential to lower water potential through a partially permeable membrane. So here water is moving, okay, but water is moving in the form of water vapor first of all, and second thing is there is no partially permeable membrane which is involved here. It's not moving cell to cell, it is moving out of the leaf in the form of water vapor. So this is transpiration, and the answer is diffusion, not osmosis. Don't get confused in this. Moving to question number 17. The pathway taken by water through a plant is shown. Root hair cell, then root cortex cell, and then there is Z, and then you have mesophyll cells. So everybody knows that from root cortex cell to mesophyll cells, the particular network which actually transports the water is your xylem. The correct answer here is xylem. Xylem is the one which transports water as well as mineral ions from the root hair cell to the mesophyll cells. So correct answer for Z is your xylem. Then the graph shows the thickness of the muscle wall in each of the 4 chambers of the mammalian heart. Which chamber is the right ventricle? Now, you know, many times when we are reading this question, we make a mistake that instead of right ventricle, we tend to read about left ventricle. And after that, what we'll pick is A. But here, it is not mentioning about the left ventricle, it is mentioning to you about the right ventricle. So as per this, the correct answer is going to be your B, because left ventricle has the thickest wall, and then you have the right ventricle, and then it comes the different atria. So correct answer is going to be B, because B is going to have thinner muscular wall compared to atria, but it will be thinner compared to the left ventricle. So correct answer is going to be B. Let's move to question number 19. Which row shows correct feature of the circulatory system of a fish? Okay, so if you have a prior information about the circulatory system of a fish has one atria, one ventricle, and the blood passes through the heart only once in one complete circuit. On the contrary, if you talk about humans or mammals, we have two atria, two ventricle, and the blood passes through the heart twice in one complete circuit. So correct answer as per the definition would be A. Then question number 20. Cholera infection can cause the following events. Okay. So cholera infection can cause following event. The first thing would be bacteria is going to infect the cells. The cells will release the chloride ions. The chloride ions move to the lumen or into the gut, that is in the small intestine. They reduce the water potential there, and this causes the water from the cells of the intestine to move into the intestines. So this is the correct sequence of how cholera infects your intestine. Now let's see word to word which particular option is suitable. First of all, the cholera bacteria, it produces toxin. This is going to be the first one. So that means we have sorted out two options, that is B and D. The second one is cells lining the small intestine secrete the chloride ions, or chloride ions move into the small intestine. The second one is going to be cells lining the small intestine secrete the chloride ions. So this is the first, this is going to be the next option. After second, it is going to be first. Then chloride ion moved into the small intestine. Of course, after that, that will be 3. Fourth is, then fifth one, water potential of the fluid in the small intestine becomes lower, and then water from the blood moves into the small intestine by osmosis. So correct answer here would be B and not D. Okay. Then which row shows the composition of expired air from a healthy person? Now I have two things to tell you, that in the expired air, when we talk about the expired air, you have to keep in mind that the oxygen concentration is approximately 16% and the CO2 concentration is approximately 4%. And when we talk about an inspired air, in the inspired air, the oxygen concentration is how much? Approximately 21%, and CO2 concentration here is going to be 0.04%. So here, as per this knowledge, the suitable answer which seemed to be fitting here would be D. CO2 concentration is 4% and oxygen concentration here is 16%. The water vapor is saturated. So this is your suitable answer. Okay. Now let's move to question number 22. The table shows relative concentrations of urea in the blood entering and leaving the kidney and the liver. Which row is correct? Now, as I can tell you that we are keeping two organs here. One is kidney and one is liver. Okay. So when the blood is going to be received in liver, the urea concentration is going to be less. And when the blood is going to be received by kidneys, the urea concentration is going to be more. Okay. Based on this knowledge, we are going to answer this question. So which row is correct? Highest concentration of urea in the blood which is entering the kidneys. Okay. Fine. So this is one option and this is one option. Now we have to sort out between A and B. And lowest concentration of urea in the blood when it is entering the liver. So based on this, the correct option is B. Okay. The urea concentration is going to be higher when the blood is going to leave the liver. So it can't be A, and the suitable option is going to be B, because urea is produced in liver. So liver is going to produce urea, and it is going to just secrete it in the blood. That blood will be carried to the kidneys and there it will be excreted out. Moving on to question number 23. Which statement about anaerobic respiration is correct? Now, as we all know, anaerobic means without oxygen. So anaerobic respiration requires oxygen? No. Big no. And anaerobic respiration requires oxygen? No. Anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen, okay, and releases less energy per glucose molecule than aerobic respiration. Okay, let's see the next option also. However, I feel that option number 3 is correct. Anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen and releases more energy per glucose molecule than aerobic respiration. So when we compare anaerobic and aerobic respiration, so always and always aerobic respiration releases more energy than anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen and releases less energy per glucose molecule than aerobic respiration. Correct answer C. During exercise, an oxygen dip may occur in muscles. What is the cause of this oxygen dip? So, oxygen dip is what? Oxygen dip is created by, you can say, a deficit, okay, which is created when you do any vigorous activity, because at that time, what is produced? There is production of lactic acid, and this oxygen dip usually occurs when you do an activity, your breathing rate is high, okay, it's very high, you're taking in a lot of oxygen, but still it is not up to the mark for what your muscles require at that time, and at that time your muscles tend to go for anaerobic respiration. So oxygen dip will occur in what? In anaerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration causes an increase in the lactic acid. So this is the suitable option, that is 24, and the answer is anaerobic respiration causes an increase in the lactic acid. Okay, moving to question number 25. The diagram shows part of the body involved in excretion in humans. Okay, so these are the different parts. So let's just label the parts so that you understand. Y is your ureter, Z is your urethra, okay, Y here is your X is ureter, Y here will be urinary bladder, okay, and W here is going to be kidneys, okay. So W here is kidneys, X is ureter, Z is urethra, and Y here is urinary bladder. These are the different parts in your excretory system. Let's see which option is suitable. So W is kidneys. We have two options here now, B and D. Okay, here and here. Then we have X as your ureter. So the correct answer here would be B, because X here is labeled urethra and X is not urethra. And then Y here will be bladder, and then Z is your urethra. So correct answer here is going to be B. Moving to question number 26. The diagram shows a reflex action when a person touches a hot object and pull their hand away. When he touches a hot object and pulls their hand away. So this is going to be the stimulus. Hot object touched is going to be the stimulus. Skin on hand, E, receptor. F here, neuron, sensory neuron. Then relay neuron. That means this relay neuron is a part of your CNS. G here is going to be your motor neuron. H here is going to be what? Your effector, and hand is pulled away. So if I just talk about E, F, G and H, E is what I told you, E is going to be the receptor, F is going to be the sensory neuron, and then G is going to be motor, and H is going to be your effector. So let's see. H is E here is the effector? No. F is the motor neuron? No. G is the motor neuron? Yes. And H is the receptor? No. H is the effector. So correct answer here is C. Okay. A light source is placed on one side of a growing plant. What is the correct explanation of the role of oxygen in shoot growth? So this is your shoot tip, and it is telling you what is the correct explanation of role of oxygen. So this shoot tip is going to receive sunlight from various directions. Okay, when it is receiving sunlight from various directions, oxygen is always produced at the shoot tip. This oxygen is going to diffuse uniformly. Okay, but let's say this shoot tip is placed in only from in an area where it is receiving light only from one direction. Okay, so if you place this shoot tip in an area which is where it is receiving light only from one direction, in this case oxygen here also it will be produced in the tip region only. However, at this time it will diffuse to the shady region. So auxin has the tendency to distribute non-uniformly. It has the tendency to distribute non-uniformly if it is receiving light from only one side. So this is our hint, because it is receiving light from only one side. So in this case, let's see which option is suitable. Auxin is equally distributed? No. Auxin is equally distributed? No. Auxin is unequally distributed in response to light and stimulates elongation. Yes, always when auxin is going to stimulate, when it is going to move to the shady region, it is going to cause the elongation of the cells which are on the shady region. So when auxin is going to be distributed, you can say non-uniformly or non-equally, it's going to stimulate cell elongation. So correct answer becomes your C. Okay, so D is not the correct answer. Which statement about antibiotics is correct? Okay, let me first go through all the options. Antibiotics are drugs. Antibiotics are produced by white blood cells. Many of you will get confused here because they think antibiotics and antibodies are same things. But antibiotics, they are chemicals and they are not produced by your white blood cells. These antibiotics are either produced by bacteria and dominantly by fungi. Antibiotic can become resistant to bacteria. Antibiotics can become resistant to bacteria. No. Bacteria can become resistant to antibiotic. So a big no here. Antibiotic kills viruses? No. Antibiotics do not kill viruses. So a big no. Correct answer here would be drugs. Antibiotics are chemicals which actually are basically your drugs. Okay. Coming to question number 29. So I'll tell you one more thing. This question 29 is basically, you're going to need a calculator for this. Okay. Let's read the heading here. The graph shows number of cases of diseases caused by MRSA bacteria. Okay, MRSA is methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. It causes a kind of a skin infection, and this is a type of a bacteria which is resistant to a category of antibiotics. So MRSA in hospital in one city between 1998 and 210. What was the percentage change in the number of cases between 2002 and 2003? Okay, let's see the options here. So we have to calculate between 2002 and 2003. So for 2003 here, for 2002 here. Okay, this is approximately 1360 and this one is 600. Okay, so you have to calculate the percentage change. Now I'll tell you one formula which you have to follow. The final value, okay, the final value minus the initial value upon the initial value into 100. This is the formula for percentage change. You always take the final value minus the initial value into upon the initial value into 100. Now I'll just use a calculator to do this. So this is 1360 minus 600, that is 760, divided by 600, okay, into 100. Okay, so you have to do this. So the answer that you're going to get is 126.66. Okay, so just to round it off, the answer that you're going to get here is 127. So suitable option here would be 127. So this is your answer. Coming to question number 30. Some descriptions of reproduction are listed. Which are the correct descriptions of sexual reproduction in humans? Okay, let's go through the options one by one. So formation of a zygote with diploid nucleus, yes, correct. Formation of a zygote with haploid nucleus, no. Formation of a diploid nucleus of two gametes, no. Diploid nuclei of two gametes, no. Formation of a haploid nuclei of two gametes, correct. So correct answer would be 1 in 4, that is B. Which statement about pollination in plants is correct? Okay, So cross pollination is the transfer of pollen from anther of a flower to the style of the same flower. This is self pollination. Cross pollination is the transfer of pollen from anther of a flower to the stigma of a flower on a different plant of the same species. This is the correct option. When the pollen grain from one particular plant, it gets transferred to another plant, but both of these two plants should be from the same species. This is cross pollination. When it is in between the same plant, it is self pollination as the first definition. Okay, so the correct answer is going to be B. Now, question number 32. The graph shows the changes in the concentration of a hormone that is involved in controlling the menstrual cycle. What is the hormone? So here, correct option would be, see, in the first 14 days you don't see a spike, so it's not estrogen. You don't see a spike here, it's not even LH. Okay, and you don't see that a gradual increase like the FSH does, so that's also not FSH. The only hormone which actually spikes up in the second half of the menstrual cycle is progesterone. So the correct answer for this one is progesterone. Okay, so when we talk about question number 33, pea plants produce either yellow or green seeds. Okay, the important information which is given here is yellow Y is dominant to green. That means yellow is dominant and green is recessive. Okay, what are the most likely phenotypes of the offspring of a cross between capital YY and capital Y small y? So here, if I make a small Punnett square here, okay, and in this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place one of the parents' gametes on one side and the other ones on another side. Okay, now let me just find out the offspring. These are your offspring. Okay, these are your offspring now. So if you check here, green is going to be recessive, so it's going to be small y, and if you check all the offspring here, none of them is actually small y, so correct answer here is going to be C, that is yellow. Moving to question number 34. Now you have to read this question, and this question can be a little bit tricky, but trust me, if you know the concepts very well, it's not going to be a problem for you. The diagram shows chromosome of a cell after they have replicated and just before the cell division by mitosis. Which pair of cell will be produced at the end of mitosis? So here, let me just tell you how it happens. So let's say there is a particular chromosome. Okay, this is a chromosome which is normally present in a cell which is not going through cell division. Now just before cell division, what is going to happen is this chromosome is going to produce a copy of itself and there will be two chromosomes. Okay, so the chromosome is going to look something like this, which is the current state present here. Okay, now when the cell division is going to take place, it will again be the same way. Okay, so basically what you have to see is that there should be one copy of each of this chromosome in each cell. Let's see which option is suitable, and trust me, you have to keep this in mind that it is talking to you about mitosis and not meiosis. So let's see, there should be 4 chromosomes in each cell. So this is not the answer, because here this cannot happen, this also cannot happen, this one also cannot happen. The correct answer is C, because here if you check, each of the one chromosome is being passed on to one cell. So 4 chromosomes are here and 4 are here. So this is equational division because equal number of chromosomes are distributed. So this is mitosis. Moving to question number 35. Okay, there are some points which you need to keep in mind about hydrophytes and xerophytes, and this question is related to that only. The table shows the number of stomata per mm² on the upper and lower epidermis of 4 different plants. Which plant is most likely to be a hydrophytic plant? Hydrophytic plant have maximum number of stomata on the upper epidermis, okay, and they have very less to no stomata on the lower epidermis. Let's see which option amongst here is more suitable to this statement? So upper epidermis 25 16, very less difference. 70 88, not as per that. 460 0, yes. And 0 150, again no, 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 and C. C will be your best option. Why? Because in hydrophytes it's already inside the water, so it does not need to conserve any water. And this plant has stomata on the upper epidermis so that it can absorb the CO2 for photosynthesis. So correct answer here would be C. Now, we have a very easy question here, that is question number 36. In which process in the nitrogen cycle do microorganisms take nitrogen from the air and convert it to nitrogen compounds? Simply, what you have to do is nitrogen is converted into nitrate or ammonia, whatever it is, the usable form for plants. So what is this process called? This process is called as nitrogen fixation. So this is the most basic step and the first step of nitrogen cycle, that is nitrogen fixation. Okay, now let's do question number 37. An increased concentration of nitrate in the water may result in the death of fish because of eutrophication. Some stages of eutrophication are given. What is the order of these stages that result in the death of fish? So here, let's see the stages and then probably we'll be able to answer this question. Okay, so here it is asking you increase aerobic respiration by decomposers. Okay, increase decomposition after the death of producers, increase growth of producers, and reduction in dissolved oxygen. Okay, so first I think here would be increase in the growth of producers. So if I choose this option, I have two answers here. First is this C and the second one is D. Second one would be increased decomposition after the death of producers. When the producer number increases, and why the producer number is increasing here? Because what you have put in water is fertilizer. Okay, so this will result in increase in the algae, increase in the producers in the water. When that will increase, it will increase the decomposition after the death of producers. That will be 2. After that, what is going to happen is there will be an increase in the aerobic respiration by decomposers, and followed by that there will be a reduction in the dissolved oxygen. So correct answer here would be C. Okay, so this is going to be the correct answer. 3 2 1 and then 4. So correct option here is C and not D. Okay, question number 38. Which word describes the number of different species in an area? So number of different species is when you have number of all the organisms of the same species, it is population. When you have number of different species in an area, it is definitely community. Okay, so community is basically the number of different species in an area. Then question number 39. Which statement is an advantage of genetically modifying a crop? Okay, which statement is an advantage of genetically modifying a crop? Now if you check the options, less pesticide is used if the genetically modified crop is resistant to pest. Seems to be the right answer. Let's see the other options as well. More herbicide is used if the genetically modified crop is resistant to herbicide. If you have to use more herbicide even after genetically modifying the crop, no. Seeds for genetically modified crops are expensive. Doesn't seem to be an advantage. The genetically modified crop genes may be passed on to the other plants. Not an advantage. So correct option here is A. Which statement are correct descriptions of the parts of the process of protein synthesis? Now trust me, many of you will find this question a little difficult to solve. Let's do it step by step. So amino acids are made by ribosome. Half of you will say yes, no. But the answer here is no. Amino acids are not made on ribosome. Amino acids are transported to the ribosomes for protein synthesis. So no. mRNA is copied. No, mRNA is not copied, but mRNA carries a copy of the gene. The gene coding for the protein moves into the nucleus. Doesn't make sense even. The ribosome assembles the amino acid into the protein molecule. This seems to be the right option. The sequence of the amino acid is determined by the sequence of the bases in the mRNA. Yes. So the correct answer, if you check from this and this, would be your D, because the mRNA from the nucleus moves out onto the ribosome, and step by step, based on the code on the mRNA, the amino acid are read and they are joined in the protein. So correct answer here would have 4 and 5, that is this one. So we have done the paper, the recent paper, and I hope you like this entire session. If you need any more assistance, if you need any more help in any of your question, you can do put them in the comment section and I'll help you solve that. I can also help you to solve some A level questions as well. Please do let me know what is your response about it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.